Hello everyone, how are you? A very good morning to all of you, and I see a lot of you have joined well on time. Okay, let's see who all have joined. Aisha, good morning, how are you? Hey Pramod is there, Ruchika, Dimple, Alpit Uncle is there, Swati is there, Mahak is there, Swami Ranjan, Manish, Surya, Ananya, Arpi. A very good morning, I am doing good. How are you guys doing? I'm really sorry we did not have a class yesterday, but we will compensate with extra hours, so do not worry. It's not going to be one class less. It's just going to be switched in some other class or right. We'll spend some more time in other sessions. Haneen is there. Akhil and Deshri is there. Hey Simran, how are you? A very good morning. Let's just wait for 30-40 seconds and we will start with chapter number 4 today, right? We're going to do chapter number 4, which is basically government policies for business growth. Okay, we will study about how does a government, एक सरकार कैसे helps businesses or what kind of policies it prepares that helps businesses in a country or in a region to actually flourish and succeed in whatever business they're doing. Okay, we will study about that today. We have already done chapter number 1, introduction, chapter number 2, micro macro environment. We have done chapter number 3, which is business organizations. We talked about government organizations, public, private, banks, foreign organizations working in India, right? Which are the global companies we talked about. We talked about who is a CFO, CEO kaun hai, MD kaun hai, chairman kaun hai. We talked about all of these things in chapter number 3. We also did a very, very interesting and eye-opening quiz in the last session, right? Wherein we did a random quiz of chapter 1, 2, and 3, and you could figure out where you're lacking, whatever concepts you need to revise. We did that quiz as well. And today we have almost completed 50% of the syllabus, right? 6 chapters, 3 almost done. Chapter 4 is super small. Chapter 6 is super small. Chapter 5 is thoda sa bada. But chapter 4, even in just study material, it's just 12 pages chapter. Sirf 12 page ka chapter hai, right? Chapter 5 is thoda lamba. Then chapter 6 is lengthy, but it is super easy. Okay. So we will complete chapter 4 completely today in the next 2 hours. Okay, I see Shiri is there, Ankita, Sonam, Kavya, Sarthak, how are you? Hi. Hi, Mr. Wadekar, Baba Saheb, how are you? Nishit is there, Tamanna, Aditya is there, Ankita, great, Sonam, Tanmeet, Ankita, good, good, good. Great, I see questions as well. Let me quickly take those questions. To the question, how am I doing? I'm not doing great. I'm really tired, but it's okay, right? When you have a lot of weddings to attend, you're obviously tired when you're traveling across states to attend your friends' weddings and you do not get time to sleep. I've only slept 1 hour. Okay. Last night I only slept for 1 hour and I'm here taking a session with you. Great. So a question from it is, what is SEZ? SEZ is Special Economic Zone. When a government wants to promote or build a certain area, let's say there is a small village 100 kilometers from Bangalore, okay? They want to develop that area. They want to increase employment in that area. They declare it as Special Economic Zone, where if you do a business, a manufacturing, a trading, you get benefits like tax holidays, wherein you have to pay less tax. Electricity bills are subsidized or land rates are cheaper, right? Sarkar, the government gives you benefits to open up businesses there so that the area flourishes, there is employment, there is development, and that area is called Special Economic Zone. That area is called Special Economic Zone. Okay. What are policies? We'll come to that. Policies aaj padhenge. We'll study that in depth. So hold Sonam, hold yourself for the next 5 minutes. We'll study what that is. Hey Rohit, how are you? You're attending the live session for the very first time. I hope you enjoy it, right? I enjoy it a lot, so I hope you also enjoy it. Great. Perfect. Let's start with chapter number 4, which is government policies for business growth. Okay. Now, government policies for business growth. You tell me, okay? There was a question somebody asked, what are policies? My question to you is, you tell me what are policies. What do you think? What is a policy? Policy kya cheez hai? Okay. Give me your answers. Think about it. Do not Google, even if it's wrong. Just tell me, what do you think is a policy? What do you understand by the word policy? Write in your answers in the chat very quickly so that we get to know how much we know about policies, right? Government policies for business growth. But what do you understand by the word policy? What is a policy? Rule. Okay, Ankita says rule. Good. Good start to it. We can say rule. What else? It's a rule, rules and regulations which should be followed. It's like a rule to follow, right? Which restrict us from doing something. Okay, that's a good one. But not all policies restrict you. Some policies restrict you. But which is right, Nishit? Let's understand. बड़ा अच्छा है आपने जो बोल दिया अभी. It is good कि आपने अभी बोल दिया, because we are going to talk about that in depth as well. That whether policies are always about stopping you from doing something, or is it more about promoting a particular behavior, right? Policy to follow, rules, planning for doing something, development, rules and regulations, rules to be followed. Policy can change economic process. It is a law. Okay. Then rules followed by us to run the business, which helps us grow smoothly. Rules and regulations control subsidy. Policies are rules and regulations. 99% of you are right. Okay. And why you're also wrong is policy is a broader concept than rules and regulations. Okay. You are right. Policy is kind of a rule and regulation that we need to follow, right? It is something which is a mandatory thing that you should follow, which is assumed that this needs to be followed if you want to be successful. Okay, that is a policy which is right. But rules and regulations are a part of policy. Rules and regulations are a part of policy, right? Rules and regulations are part of policy. Now, what does that mean? That means policy is a very broad concept. Policy is a very broad concept. उसके अंदर आते हैं rules and regulations. Let me give you a very simple example. Okay, let me give you super duper simple example. Right, Rohit, how do you answer in the comment section? Go to the BOS Live app. वहां पे जाके you can chat with us. Okay, अभी आप आंसर ही तो कर रहे हो comment section में. रोहित, आप अभी कैसे लिख रहे हो? यही तो है आंसर भी. Okay, now rules and regulations are a part of policy. Now think about this. Let's talk about traffic rules. ठीक है, हम सड़क पे जाते हैं. When we're driving on the road, we have to follow the traffic signal. We cannot cross the zebra crossing. We cannot overspeed, right? You shouldn't honk in front of a hospital or a school. These are traffic rules. When there is an ambulance, you should give space, or you should give like area to for the ambulance to pass through, right? You should allow the ambulance. You should not block their the path, right? These are traffic rules. But traffic policy क्या है? Traffic policy is basically a smooth functioning system. The policy of the traffic policy is a smooth traffic functioning is a policy. Within that policy, you have rules and regulations. If you break traffic rules, there will be a fine. If you jump a traffic signal, 500 rupees. If you're not wearing a seat belt, 1,000 rupees. If you're drinking and driving, 25,000 rupees. These are rules and regulations which are part of policy. Right? Policy is a broader concept. It's like traffic policy. देश की traffic policy क्या है? देश की traffic policy is that there will be penalties for breaking rules. There will be 10,000 rules that need to be followed. This is a policy. Within a policy, there are rules and regulations. Okay? Similarly, रोहित यहीं पे question box में डाल दो answer भी. Okay? Now, this is what happens when you are joining for the first time. We are in the middle of the syllabus and you're still figuring out the system. Okay. Now, what happens is we're going to talk about government policies for business growth. How are these policies of the government that, for example, let us give tax holidays, let us give subsidies, right? Let us promote certain businesses, let us promote agriculture, let us promote startups in India, let us promote technology startups in India, let us promote, give money to small industries, let us give free loans to small shopkeepers, let us allow e-commerce companies to come into India, let us create a competitive analysis, let us create a competition commission, right? So that there is It is create something as MRP, which is maximum retail price. MRP is a concept which is only in India. Okay, MRP का जो concept है आपके पैकेट्स पे लिखा होता है MRP 10 रुपए 20 रुपए 100 रुपए 150 रुपए whatever the price is, right? MRP is a concept of India. सिर्फ इंडिया में MRP होता है. In Western countries you will not see something as MRP. वहां पे कोई MRP नहीं होता है. Anybody can charge any money for any product. It is an open market and people have to decide where they want to buy from. While in India, there is a concept of MRP to safeguard the customers, to safeguard the businesses. कि ऐसा ना हो कल को टाटा आके बोले 1 रुपए में गाड़ी बेच दो भाई, क्योंकि because they have money. And a small company which is making cars and scooters will be like, I don't have so much money to give a car at 1 rupee. How can I compete with Tata? So there is a maximum retail price or a minimum retail price that is there in the industry, right? कि इसके ऊपर और इसके नीचे तो आप नहीं बेच सकते to be fair in the market. There are transfer pricings, there are arm length transactions. All these are policies that the government creates, that the government has to safeguard the customer, to safeguard the business, to promote businesses, to ensure the growth of the country. आज उसी के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे पूरा. Okay, that is a small introduction about this chapter. Let us get into the very simple things that this chapter has for us. Okay, इन बाइक्स देयर इज नो सीट बेल्ट. अर्पित अंकल वेरी गुड. तो क्या करना चाहिए? हेलमेट होता है ना उसमें. ये कॉमन सेंस के, वेयर हैव यू लेफ्ट योर कॉमन सेंस? उसको पहन के आओ दोस्त, कॉमन सेंस को. राइट, बाइक में सीट बेल्ट नहीं है तो हेलमेट तो होता है ना, कि गाड़ी में हेलमेट पहन के बैठ जाओ. Okay, let's go to the next one. Historic policy framework in India. Okay, now when we think about policy making, how the governments are creating policies, how the governments have created policies, it has been historic in nature, right? It has been historic in nature. It is not like ki aaj, if there is a Modi Sarkar, or if there was a Congress, or if there was XYZ Aam Aadmi Party, or whatever the party there is, right? They are creating policies for the business. They are something after independence ही सब कुछ हुआ है. No, it is not like after independence India में policies बननी शुरू हुई हैं. Even before we were independent or a republic, even when there were Mughals, even when there was Ashoka, even when there were your Chola dynasty, Chanakya and everyone, right? When there were British, they also created policy. They also created policies for businesses. They also created policies for businessmen. They also created policies for flourishing the economy, for foreign trade, for incoming trade, for exports and imports, export of spices, import of rice, wheat, potato, whatever it was. There were Portugal people coming. There were French people coming. All these policies have been made historically, right? All these policies have already been created historically. This is not a new concept कि अब सरकार है तो अब बनाना है. Okay, now let's go to understanding the historic policy of India. में ये policy आई कैसे? Some examples, some things in history what we understand about policy. Okay, okay, there's another interesting thing. If you get 1 rupee, if you get a car in 1 rupee, तो ऐसा कोई नहीं होगा इंडिया में जिसके पास कार नहीं होगी. दैट इज राइट वैष्णवी. इसीलिए तो ऐसा करना नहीं है ना, राइट? बिकॉज देयर इज अ कॉस्ट. यू हैव टू बी कम्पिटिटिव. फ्री में बेचने का तो सब बेच देंगे, फिर पैसा कौन कमाएगा, राइट? Absolutely. East India Company as well. Policies, that is British. Now, Takshashila and Nalanda University. You know Nalanda, one of the oldest universities in the world. Nalanda is in India. Was in India. It has been reconstructed, right? It has been reconstructed in Bihar. Fantastic place if you can go and visit and see what historic relevance that has. It is a superb place, okay? Then there were Chanakya, right? In Takshashila and Nalanda University, the scholars, right? All the professors, the teachers, the scholars, they used to sit down and they used to create policy frameworks for the kings and queens. Ki Raja ko desh kaise chalana chahiye? How should the king or the queen, the emperor, should function their economy, should function their empire, right? All these books were written in Takshashila and Nalanda University back around thousands of years ago, right? Chanakya, you know Chanakya, the master of economic reforms or economics that we have in India, right? Chanakya Arthashastra, right? He wrote the book which has been referred to as one of the most interesting economic books of history, that is Arthashastra, which is public policy and economics. He wrote an entire book about economics for an emperor. How should he or she spend money? So if the emperor, Raja or Rani has, let's say, 10 crore rupees, okay, back then it was huge money, gold coins and silver coins. How much should be spent on army? How much should be spent on creating mahals and all palaces and forts, on cavalry, on horses and camels? How much should be spent on the general public? How much should be spent on education? How much should be spent on sewage system, water canals, agriculture, trade, foreign trade, gifts to the business people, gifts to the foreign tourists that were coming from China, France, then Portugal, different countries people were coming to India. How do you manage that money? How do you create policies for a flourishing economy, a flourishing empire? अर्थशास्त्र में सब कुछ लिखा है, right? That is how historically rich we are. Okay, then Ashoka, the policy of peace and harmony. Now Ashoka, the emperor, decided the policy for his empire after that huge war of Kalinga, right? After he converted to Buddhism, he devoted himself to a policy of peace and harmony. He said, मुझे harmony चाहिए, मुझे peace चाहिए अपने empire में. I do not want people to be dying of money, the lalach, or greed and fight and this and that. He said, I want peace and harmony in my empire. The policy framework, he used to reward people who were promoting peace and harmony, right? Peace, he wanted to maintain peace as a policy. For that, he had certain rules. For that, he created certain regulations, right? But the policy was peace and harmony. Then came Guptas. The Gupta dynasty brought in taxation, brought in trade, brought in warfare. They were very fascinated by trade, warfare, export करते हैं, import करते हैं, taxes लगाते हैं, right? This is what they did. Then came the Delhi Sultanate, right? The Delhi Sultanate, Razia Sultana, Kutubuddin Aibak, right? All these created very stringent tax reforms. The advent of Mughals, the advent of people from Afghanistan, people from the eastern, the western, the northwestern area of the world, right? When they started coming to India, they brought in very stringent tax reforms. इन्होंने कहा भाई 70%, 70% of your income will be tax. You have to give to the Raja, you have to give to the emperor, right? These are the kind of reforms they brought in. Then came Akbar, Mughals, right? Gurkhanis, the Mughals, Akbar, and all these Birbal, Akbar, Shah Jahan, Jahangir, right? They brought in land reforms. Now, they brought in land reforms was they started taxing land. आप अब जमीन खरीदते हैं. Now you see, पहले ऐसा नहीं होता था कि ये जमीन मेरी है, ये जमीन आपकी है. There was no concept. The Mughals brought in the concept of land reforms कि area जो आज the words that you use today बीघा, right? Then there is एकड़, then there is yard. ये सब अंग्रेज लेके आए, but the words like बीघा and all these words that you have to measure land, this was what Mughals brought in. Okay, this is what Mughals, their policy was inclined toward land reforms. They wanted to tax land. They wanted to gain money from people who were owning land. Okay, this is what their policy was. What is warfare? Warfare means ladai, right? Warfare means the war ki preparation. War के around creating a policy. Warfare means लड़ाई के शौकीन थे. They used to go and like fight with different dynasties to win their kingdom, right? उसको warfare बोलते हैं. Stringent means strict. These are basic English, guys. You have cleared 12th, right? 12th class आपने पास की है. You should know these very basic English words. If you do not, please, I request, start focusing on English as well. Professional banke, this is, nobody is going to teach you what this word is or not, right? So start reading good books, start reading history, start watching some shows, whatever suits you, right? But start working on the vocabulary as well. That's just one-on-one advice I can give you. It's your choice if you want to do that or not. But next is British. Okay. Now, British brought in a lot of reforms. British brought in a lot of policies. Education policy lao, sabko English padhao, trade policies, forex, then Lagan. You have seen that movie Dugna Lagan dena padega. You've seen the movie Lagan as well, right? They brought in the slabs of taxation, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% on land itna, on income itna, on capital gain itna. All of this was brought in by British, right? They brought in the zamindari system and the foreign trade policies that we will trade with you, in return I want this. If I trade this with you, I want this in return, right? They brought in the trade policies. These were the policies framework across the historic dialect, the historic timeline of India, starting from Nalanda Takshashila right to the British before we gained independence and we became a republic. Every single person who ruled India created certain policies, created certain policy frameworks in India. Okay, this is what we will talk about now. After independence, क्या हुआ? Independence तक ये हुआ, but after independence क्या हुआ is what we will study now. Any questions so far? Let's see if you have any questions. Okay. Absolutely. We will have extra class. We will have extra hours also. But if not an extra class, we'll have extra hours coming in for the class that we did not do yesterday. उसके लिए कुछ extra hours लेके आएंगे हम for sure. We're not going to skip that. So be assured. Everything is clear about policies. What is policy framework? Why does the government create policies? What is the historic timeline of policy in India? Can we go ahead? Give me a thumbs up very quickly so that I can move ahead, where we talk about India and its policy after independence. Yes, Vasco da Gama also came in, and there was when people from Portugal came, they brought in their own policies, they brought in their own rules and regulations. They did as well. So Vasco da Gama also brought in certain policies, right? Absolutely, all clear. Takshashila and Nalanda University had given which policy? Couple of them, Sarthak. You can't even name few. There were like tens and thousands of policies that they created. The people referred their books and then they implemented whatever suited them, right? So there's no set policy that they created, but they gave so many options, and the emperors or the mantris of the emperors used to read those books and then implement in their empire, right? Cool. Let's go to the next one. When India gained independence, India had two options. Okay, this chapter is all about story. पूरी कहानी है, इसको आराम से कहानी की तरह समझेंगे. इंडिया को ब्रिटिश से इंडिपेंडेंस मिली 1947 में, 1950 में we became republic. And when the leaders, when Nehru ji, Gandhi ji, Sardar Patel, and everyone was sitting in the parliament house, they said, boss, अब क्या पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए देश की, राइट? व्हाट शुड बी द नेक्स्ट इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी ऑफ इंडिया? वी हैव थ्रोन अवे द पीपल हु रूल्ड अस. We need to manage our people. We are a democratic company. People have elected us. We're going to have elections and everything. But what should be our economic policy? We want the country to develop. We want the country to be rich. We are super poor right now. When we gained independence and we were republic, we were extremely poor. Okay. If you go to internet and you read somewhere at 12 a.m. in the night, when India became republic, 1 rupee was equal to $1. Within next 5 seconds, it became 20, 30 rupees ka, right? Because we were 30 times poorer than the dollar, right? And it kept on falling. Today it is 82, 83 rupees. Okay. But for I think 3, 4 seconds, 1 rupee was equal to $1 when we were republic. And then our economy started tanking because we were very poor as a country, right? We were more of agriculture. हमें बस खेती थी. We did not have industries. We did not have jobs. We did not have technology, right? We were all about agriculture. हम लोग को बस खेती करवा लो. That is what our देश was. Okay. So then the policy for these people, Nehru ji, Gandhi ji, Patel ji, was कि दोस्त करना क्या है? क्या policy बनानी है देश की? क्या किया जाए? So there were two options in front of them. There were two options that were there. First was either we become like Europe and US, which we call as capitalism. The market forces of demand and supply manage everything. The market forces of demand and supply manage everything, which is called capitalism. That means जितनी डिमांड होगी उतनी सप्लाई करो, मार्केट अपने आप, द बायर्स एंड सेलर्स विल मैनेज देमसेल्व्स, कितना प्राइस होना चाहिए, क्या होना चाहिए, सब कुछ बायर्स एंड सेलर्स विल डिसाइड देमसेल्व्स. Second is communism, where the government controls everything. Right? The government has control over who is selling what. आप क्या बेच रहे हो, नहीं नहीं इस प्राइस पे नहीं, इस प्राइस पे बेचोगे, नहीं नहीं आप यहाँ नहीं आप वहां बेचोगे. Right? Government controls the actions of businesses. Government tells them, okay, if you do agriculture, we will give you benefit. But if you do industrial this, we will not give you benefit. So it is controlling through policies, right? Now, this is what were the two options in front of them, either to become a capitalist economy or to become a communist economy. Like China is. China has a lot of government control where businesses, decisions are decided by the government. Okay. Now, what India decided was what? What do you think? India ने क्या decide किया, क्या बनना चाहिए? There were two options. But what was the decision of India? Great Anmol. Anmol tells India combined capitalism and communism, which is right. But what do you call it? What do you call it? इंडिया ने क्या डिसाइड किया कि दोस्त हमको तो क्या करना है? Mixed economy. Absolutely. Rohit, Surya, Tanmeet, Swati, right? Mixed economy. Is socialist economy same as communism? That is right. It is same. But India decided to become a mixed economy. India decided to become a mixed economy where there were market forces that decided everything, plus there was control of the government on a lot of things as well. The classic example of mixed economy that you can see in your daily life as well is the price of veg thali. ठीक है? आप government library में जाइए. If you go to a government office, the veg thali is for rupees 30 only. You go to a railway canteen, it is 70. If you go to a high-end restaurant, it's somewhere around 250, 300, 400, 500, 1000 रुपए की, 1200 रुपए की. You go to a 5-star, 5000 रुपए की भी थाली है, right? It's a mixed economy. The consumer has options, whether he or she wants a subsidized price from the government or they want a high-end branded thing. Everything is available. Everything is available. The government controls certain things so that it can also cater to the poor sector or to a poor segment of the economy of the country, while it also gives options for the rich, the affluent, the middle class, the upper middle class to go with their aspirations, to spend with their as per their aspirations and pocket, right? It's a mixed economy. India decided to go with a mixed economy, which is combination of capitalist and communist economy. Okay. Example is on your screen. Great. This is a table where you can also refer to your book. This is from the study material as well, right? The difference between market and mixed and whatever, right? The before 50s, mid 50s, and since 1991. Okay. Now what is happening is, if you look at this table simply means you can go and read this for yourself. I'll just give you a brief of what this table is all about. This table tells us that boss, India when gained independence in 1950s was a very poor economy. तो सरकार को बहुत ज़्यादा चीजें control करनी पड़ी. The government had to control a lot of things because we were very poor. But as time went on, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, then came 90s. Till 90s, we had fairly developed. We had computers, we had cars, we had roads, we had industries, we had manufacturing, we had people, we had people who were well educated, we had doctors, we had engineers, we had chartered accountants, we had lawyers, we had a lot of other professionals, architects, designers, this and that, everything, right? हमारे पास काफी कुछ आ चुका था. So it was time for the government to lessen its control and give more control to the market, which is become more capitalist than communist, right? जो बैलेंस था 50-50, 60-40 का कि हमें ज्यादा कम्युनिस्ट रहना है, कम कैपिटलिस्ट रहना है, as the years changed, हम ज्यादा कैपिटलिस्ट बन गए हैं और कम कम्युनिस्ट बन गए हैं, बिकॉज नाउ वी हैव फोर्सेस, नाउ वी हैव रिसोर्सेज, नाउ वी हैव अंडरस्टैंडिंग, राइट? आज की डेट में आप देखिए LIC को बेच रहे हैं, अदानी, अंबानी, टाटा, जिंदल, what are these groups, right? They are because of the market forces. They are super rich because of the market forces, demand and supply. It's an open market. Anybody can come and become the king of the market or the queen of the market, right? You have so many startups. You would see people on Shark Tank coming to Sugar Cosmetics or Boat, or what are these people are doing? These are capitalist economy. These are because of capitalist economy. The government is not controlling everything. They're saying, boss, if you have the capacity to build a multi-crore, multi-billion dollar brand, go ahead. We are not going to stop you. We are not going to stop you. It's your market. It's your country. Go and do whatever business you want to do. That is how the policy regime has changed. That is how the policies changed to make India more capitalist. कि सरकार कम चीजें कंट्रोल करेगी, सब्सिडी देना बंद कर दिया, राइट? सब्सिडी देना बंद कर दो, एग्रीकल्चर को प्रमोट करना बंद कर दिया, स्टार्टअप्स को प्रमोट करना ज्यादा कर दिया, इंडस्ट्रीज को प्रमोट करना ज्यादा कर दिया. एंड हाउ डू यू प्रमोट? The government promotes a certain sector where they want more development. So if somebody is opening an industry, they give them 10 years tak no tax. If you're opening an industry, best of luck. If I am a business person, I will say, boss, I will not be taxed for 10 years. I should open an industry, right? I go and open an industry. If industry opens, roads develop, truck transportation, employment, more jobs, more money in the hands of the people, more exports and imports, more foreign exchange for the country. Everything develops because of the industry, and I'm not taxed. The government is giving me that benefit. So that is a policy that creates an environment what government wants you to do, राइट? गवर्नमेंट आपको प्रमोट करने के लिए एक पॉलिसी बनाएगी जिसकी वजह से थिंग्स विल हैपन इन द इकोनॉमी. Same thing happened in 1990s, where since then we have become more of capitalist and less of socialist or communist as an economy. The balance is still there. We still have mixed economy, but capitalist ज़्यादा है. 70-30, 80-20 की रेशो हो चुकी है, right? Great. Our socialist economy, we had that question, Sadak. We answered that question. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. From a business perspective, when a government creates a policy, when a government tells you about a policy or the government changes a policy, as a business, what should you do? That's a question to all of you. The answer is on the screen, but understand from a business perspective, when a policy changes or a new policy comes into picture, what should a business do? What should a business do? Solar power, dairy farming have many subsidies given to promote them. Absolutely, Rohit. That is how policies work. But the question is, what should a business do when they see the policies being changed or new policies coming into the picture? Look for opportunities and threats. That means super. Absolutely. Let's wait for others also. क्या बाकी सो गए क्या? Sunday है. Why aren't people answering? I want all of you to answer, please. I want all of you to answer. Be active. ये आपकी क्लास है, मेरी नहीं है दोस्त. This is not a प्रवचन. This is not me being a Baba telling you to do something good with your life. This is something that is going to come in exam. So you should be more attentive and answering the questions. Adapt itself to its policies. Okay, which is great. Which is a great word usage for examinations. The business should identify the change and make changes in them. Make changes according to it in the management. Great. Business will also change as per policies. Business must identify opportunities and threats. Absolutely. All the 6 of you who have answered, great. Thanks for being attentive. Rest, all of you, I'll request be attentive. Okay. Cool. The specter of government policies for business. Specter of government policies for business. Okay. Before I go and explain this graph or chart which is there on your screen, okay, spend 30 seconds, read it very carefully. इसको ध्यान से देखो, ये कहना क्या चाह रहा है, okay? I will take 30 seconds here. I will not speak anything for the next 30 seconds. I want all of you to read this graph very carefully and then I will explain. वरना आपको कुछ समझ नहीं आएगा. Okay? Read it very carefully. The specter of government policies for business. Once you are done, give me a thumbs up. इसको समझो क्या कहना चाह रहा है वो. आप पढ़ चुके हो ये चैप्टर 2 में. चैप्टर 2 में आप पढ़ चुके हो. और हिंट दे रहा हूं. Swati, to your question, people are becoming rich, but India is becoming poor. The statement is wrong. India is not becoming poorer. India is also becoming rich. We are almost 2 trillion plus economy, okay, which is like the top 10 economies in the world. And we are the fastest growing economy in the world. जबकि पूरा globe नीचे जा रहा है, we are the only country which is going upwards, okay. So India is also becoming rich. India is not becoming poor. Done? Perfect. Thanks for everyone who is active and sending a thumbs up. I'm happy to see you being active. Now let's understand. Spectre of government policies for business, very simple. 2 minute में समझते कहना क्या चाह रहा है. The economic policy that the government creates, ठीक है. इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी हमने पढ़ा है चैप्टर 2 में. वो 2 टाइप की होती है, ठीक है. या तो फिस्कल होती है या मॉनेटरी होती है. फिस्कल वो होती है विच इज रिलेटेड टू एक्सपेंसेस, विच इज रिलेटेड टू कलेक्शन ऑफ टैक्सेस. एंड मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी इज द फ्लो ऑफ क्रेडिट, कैश. मार्केट में, देश में कैश कितना होना चाहिए, फ्लो ऑफ कैश कितना होना चाहिए, यूपीआई, ठीक है. यूपीआई रिलेटेड या फिर कैश रिलेटेड कुछ भी अगर पॉलिसी बन रही है उसको मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी बोलते हैं. सिंपल याद रखना, यूपीआई रिलेटेड, पेटीएम, गूगल पे, इस पे कितनी ट्रांजैक्शंस होनी है, हाउ शुड दैट हैपन, हाउ मच मनी शुड बी अवेलेबल टू द पीपल, क्रेडिट इंटरेस्ट रेट कितना होना चाहिए, राइट. ऑल द इंटरेस्ट रेट कितना होना चाहिए, क्रेडिट कितना होना चाहिए. एवरीथिंग इज मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. 2000 का नोट होना चाहिए, 500 का नोट होना चाहिए. ऑल ऑफ दिस इज मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. फिस्कल पॉलिसी इज रिलेटेड टू टैक्सेशन, बजट, right, expenditure of the government, foreign exchange, imports and exports. All of this is fiscal policy. Okay, so economic policy of the country is divided into 2 things, which is number one, the monetary policy, and number 2, the fiscal policy. Both of this come under macroeconomic management. Both of these come under macroeconomic management. ठीक है, macroeconomic factors हैं fiscal and monetary. Okay, now when I talk about these two, the economic policy is either divided into macroeconomic management, which is fiscal and monetary, or we can also break the economic policies sector wise. Sector क्या होता है दोस्त? Sector means certain industries, right? Collation of a certain type of industries or businesses is called a sector, like agriculture, industrial, foreign trade and investment, right? Economic policies can also be divided basis the sector. कि भाई agriculture sector की policies क्या हैं? Farm laws, you remember farm laws, which was part of agriculture policy. Industrial policy, right? Now you see SEZ, that is industrial policy. Foreign trade and investment policy, import export subsidies, import export custom duties, right? आपको फरारी मंगवानी है तो आपको 200% टैक्स देना पड़ेगा. फॉरेन ट्रेड एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट पॉलिसी है, राइट. इफ यू आर एक्सपोर्टिंग चावल फ्रॉम मध्य प्रदेश टू सऊदी अरेबिया, आपको हम बेनिफिट देंगे. आपको जो कस्टम ड्यूटी है उस पर हम आपको बेनिफिट देंगे 10% फ्लैट ऑफ, राइट. दीज आर फॉरेन ट्रेड इन्वेस्टमेंट पॉलिसीज. SEZ, industries develop करनी है. The government wants to create more industries in a particular area. industrial policy. The government wants to promote agriculture, free loans to farmers, change in farm laws, change in MSP, which is minimum support price or marginal support price. This is all agriculture policy. Now, economic policies can also be divided under sector management, basis the sector where that policy is aimed at. Okay. ग्रेट. फिल्म इंडस्ट्री की कोई ऐसे इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी नहीं होती है दोस्तों के. देयर इज नो इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी, बट इट वुड बी मोर लाइक मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट पॉलिसी. उसके अंदर आपकी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री आ जाएगी. ओके. Fiscal policies are made by the government while monetary policies are made by the RBI. Somewhat yes, but not truly true. Okay, but ठीक है, for understanding which is right, you can understand it this way. Industries are again being promoted because we need employment दोस्त. Apple की फैक्ट्री खोलो यहाँ पे, Tesla की फैक्ट्री खोलो यहाँ पे, right? Industries are being promoted again because India is the most populous country in the world right now. We have beaten China in population. We are the most populous country. We need jobs. We need jobs, okay? बच्चे कर करके we have done our beda gark. Now you need jobs. Absolutely, Ankit. You're right. Okay, so this is the specter of government policies for business: macroeconomic management, fiscal and monetary, sector management based on agriculture, industrial and foreign trade and investment policy. Okay, great. Let's go to the next one very quickly. Simple सा table है, ज़्यादा कुछ सब पढ़ा हुआ है आपने इसमें. Question on your screen, boys and girls. Read the question carefully and answer this. अब आधी जनता में से पूछेगी यार ये स्टिमुलस पैकेज क्या है. आपको ये पता होना चाहिए. Go and Google it. Let's see. This is basic economic term you should know as a finance professional. आपको पता होना चाहिए. गूगल करके मतलब ढूंढो इसका. सीखो नए वर्ड्स को. Stimulus package for MSMEs in India will fall under what? Monetary policy, fiscal policy, sectoral policy, or macro policy? The fight is between monetary, sectoral. A आ चुका है, B आ चुका है, C आ चुका है. What about others? Why isn't every Janta giving the answer? Okay, macro, monetary, fiscal, sectoral, monetary. Option A, option C. The correct answer is fiscal policy. It's fiscal policy. Why? Option B is fiscal policy. Okay, now MSMEs can be in any sector. हर सेक्टर के अंदर एमएसएमईज होते हैं, माइक्रो स्मॉल एंड मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेस. हर सेक्टर के अंदर एमएसएमईज है, तो ये सेक्टरल पॉलिसी तो नहीं हो सकती. ये एक सेक्टर के लिए ही है, नहीं, ये तो सब सेक्टर्स के लिए है. ओके. मैक्रो पॉलिसी है क्या? हाँ है, बट उसके अंदर वी हैव टू मोर ऑप्शंस, फिस्कल एंड मॉनेटरी. सो मैक्रो तो शुडंट बी द राइट आंसर बिकॉज इट्स अ ब्रॉड थिंग. हमें दो और ऑप्शंस दिए हैं, मॉनेटरी एंड फिस्कल, तो उसमें से ही होना चाहिए बिकॉज मैक्रो के अंदर दोनों आते हैं. ओके. नाउ, is it a monetary policy or is it a fiscal policy? Monetary policy is about credit. It's about loans. It is about money flow. Fiscal policy is about expenditure, budgeting. कहाँ कितना पैसा लगाना है. Stimulus package, which is package to help, the money to help MSMEs will fall under fiscal policy because this is an expenditure of the सरकार. ये सरकार का दोस्त एक्सपेंडिचर है. ये सरकार का एक्सपेंडिचर है. तो सरकार का एक्सपेंडिचर विल बी योर फिस्कल पॉलिसी. इट्स एन एक्सपेंडिचर. The government decides to use the tax money to promote or give stimulus packages to MSMEs. This is fiscal policy. Okay, this is fiscal policy. ऐसे solve करना है question. Okay, let's go to the next one. Macroeconomic indicators. बड़ा simple है. A question to you is, how do you get to know? How do you get to know that you have passed or failed the examinations? आपको कैसे पता चलता है कि आपने एग्जाम पास किया है या आप एग्जाम में फेल हो गए हो? हाउ डू यू गेट टू नो दैट? ग्रेट आयशा, आई एम हैप्पी दैट यू लाइकिंग टफ क्वेश्चंस, व्हिच इज गुड. हाउ डू यू गेट टू नो कि यार आप एग्जाम में पास हुए हो या फेल हुए हो? कैसे पता चलता है? मार्कशीट से, रिपोर्ट कार्ड से, बाय सीइंग द रिजल्ट्स, राइट? पास परसेंटेज आफ्टर गिविंग द एग्जाम, बाय चेकिंग द रिजल्ट्स. अब हमको कैसे पता चलेगा यार इकोनॉमी पास हो रही है या इकोनॉमी फेल हो रही है? हाउ डू यू गेट टू नो दैट द इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज जो सरकार पॉलिसी बना रही है, इज इट गुड फॉर द इकोनॉमी और इज इट बैड फॉर द इकोनॉमी? देश का भला हो भी रहा है या नहीं, ये कैसे पता चलेगा दोस्त? राइट? फेयर क्वेश्चन. होना ही चाहिए. सिर्फ पॉलिसी थोड़ी तो बनाते रहना है. We also have to check whether the policies made by the government are actually benefiting us as a country, as an economy or not. How do you check that? You check that with something called as macro policy indicators. You call that as macro policy indicators. Some of the basic, very basic indicators at this level you should know are GDP, inflation, tax rate, interest rate and exchange rate. ठीक है? GDP, inflation, tax rate, interest rate and exchange rate. Very simple. ये सब कुछ आप मुझे समझाओगे, मैं आपको नहीं समझाऊंगा. Let us see if you know all of this, okay? But before I ask you what certain things mean, I have a question. I have a question. और उसको देखते हैं if you can answer or not. A higher interest rate, a higher interest rate means it is good for the economy or bad for the economy? A higher interest rate is good for the economy or bad for the economy? You tell me. A higher interest rate is good for the economy or bad for the economy? A higher interest rate is good for the economy or bad for the economy? लगाओ दिमाग. You have studied this in 12th. 12वीं कक्षा में पढ़ा हुआ है देवी और सज्जनों. सब पढ़ा हुआ है. Bad for the economy, good for the economy, bad, 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 good, good, bad, 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 bad. पूरी जनता के लिए bad, as we cannot take more loan, which is right. If the interest rates are higher, that means the loans are costly. And if loans are costly, if I tell you the education loan is 30% interest rate, तो आप education ही नहीं ले पाओगे. If I tell you if you have to do a business, you have to take a loan and the interest rate on loan is 40%, आप business ही नहीं कर पाओगे. If you're not able to take education, if you're not able to get educated, if you're not able to do business, how is the economy going to flourish? So a higher interest rate is mostly bad for the economy. What about inflation? What about inflation? Is inflation good for the economy or bad for the economy? ज्यादा इन्फ्लेशन अच्छी चीज है या बुरी चीज है? इन्फ्लेशन बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा तो अच्छी चीज है या बुरी चीज है? Inflation. Is it good for the economy or bad for the economy? ब्रिटिश एक्सेंट क्यों निकल गया मेरा? Bad, bad. Okay. More inflation is bad. Inflation is moderate, is the best, which is great. Bad for the economy, good for the economy, bad. Neither more, neither less is good. Very bad. Okay. Great set of answers. A very high inflation is a bad thing for the economy. A very low inflation is bad for the economy. The best position for a country to be in terms of inflation is moderate. इन्फ्लेशन होना बहुत जरूरी है, बट कंट्रोल में होनी चाहिए. कंट्रोल में होनी चाहिए. बहुत ज्यादा भी नहीं, बहुत कम भी नहीं. We'll study about it. Okay. Now, you know GDP, gross domestic product, the value of all the finished goods and services in the economy is called GDP, which is called gross domestic product. Okay. Inflation क्या होता है? Inflation means the prices of products and services in the country किस लेवल से increase हो रहे हैं. For example, something which was 100 rupees 5 years ago today is for 300 rupees. ठीक है. इफ यू रिमेंबर, अगर आप बटर चिकन खाते थे, पहले बटर चिकन 250 रुपए का आता था. आज 700-800 रुपए का आता है बटर चिकन. राइट. 10-15 years ago, butter chicken was for 250-300 rupees. और शाही पनीर, if you're vegetarian, पनीर टिक्का शाही पनीर 80-90 रुपए का आता था. आज वो 250-300 रुपए का. It's for 250-300 rupees. If you go to pizza, right, you go to buy a pizza, the pizza was for 150-200 maximum. It is 700-800 rupees today. This is inflation. The prices of the products are increasing. This is inflation. Why is inflation good in the moderate? Because it creates opportunities for the businesses. It creates opportunities for people to increase their income, right? जब prices बढ़ेंगे तो income भी तो बढ़ेगी ना दोस्त. income बढ़ेगी तो खर्चा भी बढ़ेगा, खर्चा बढ़ेगा तो economy बढ़ेगी. तो थोड़ी सी inflation होना तो अच्छी चीज है. ठीक है. Now, I don't know, veg only. I gave you veg example also. Shahi paneer, paneer tikka. Okay. If you do not eat it, malai chap ले लो दोस्त. मैगी ले लो भाई. 9 रुपए की मैगी आती थी. इट इज 14 rupees टुडे. राइट. People have now started thinking, but it's Sunday, those you should eat something good today. I've given you so many options now. Bring in some butter naan and tandoori roti, dal makhni and everything. Okay, great. Let's get to where we were, which is GDP, right? Gross domestic product, inflation, tax rate. सरकार कितना टैक्स लगा रही है, that also defines the economy. If the taxation is huge, people do not have money to spend. People will not have much money to spend if the tax rates are huge or very high. Interest rate we just talked about. Exchange rate dollar to rupee 83 रुपए 83 rupees का हो गया. Right? It used to be 50-55 when I was in school. It is 82-83 right now. 30 rupees बढ़ गया. Right? This is exchange rate, which means India in comparison to the globe is not doing good. हमें और ज्यादा फॉरेन एक्सचेंज चाहिए. वी नीड टू इंक्रीज आवर एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड वी नीड टू रिड्यूस आवर इंपोर्ट्स. एक्सचेंज रेट का सिंपल मतलब है कि हमारे पास फॉरेन एक्सचेंज डॉलर्स कम है, इसीलिए जो चीज हमारे पास कम होती है उसकी वैल्यू बढ़ जाती है. आप ऐसे समझो, जो चीज आपके पास कम होती है उसकी वैल्यू बढ़नी शुरू हो जाती है. दैट इज वाई द डॉलर वैल्यू इज इंक्रीजिंग बिकॉज वी डू नॉट हैव मच. तो हम उसको बड़ा संभाल के रख रहे हैं कि अरे जी खत्म ना हो जाए, खत्म ना हो जाए. एंड द ग्लोब इज यूजिंग दिस एज आर डिसएडवांटेज. इनके पास तो है ही नहीं, इनको मारो, इनको और दबाओ. राइट. बट इफ वी हैव मोर डॉलर्स, हमारे पास और डॉलर्स होंगे. और डॉलर्स कैसे होंगे? इफ वी एक्सपोर्ट मोर एंड वी इंपोर्ट लेस. इंपोर्ट कम करेंगे तो डॉलर खर्चा कम होगा. वी हैव टू स्पेंड लेस डॉलर्स. इफ वी एक्सपोर्ट मोर वी गेट मोर डॉलर्स. वंस वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ डॉलर्स, दैट मीन्स इसकी वैल्यू गिर गई. हम कहेंगे हो गया, आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ डॉलर्स, सो दैट इट शुडंट बी 80 rupees. आई कैन मैनेज एट 45-50 rupees also. आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ डॉलर्स. ओके. This is how exchange rate functions. This is how exchange rate functions. Okay. Cool. Let's go to the table which talks about this. Okay. The indicator, the direction which is favorable, most favorable for an economy, and what does it mean? Okay. If somebody asks you what should be the interest rate in the economy, the most favorable or most preferred is that the interest rate should be lower, right? Tax rate should be lower. Inflation should be moderate. GDP should be rising. Exchange rate should be moderate. Why? Why का आंसर मीनिंग में लिखा है. GDP should be rising because it means that people are producing more, people are earning more. Inflation should be moderate so that demand and profit grow. राइट इन्फ्लेशन होगी तो प्राइस बढ़ेगा तो इनकम बढ़ेगी तो कंजम्पशन बढ़ेगी तो देश बढ़ेगा राइट taxation should be lower incentives should be given to people who are creating opportunities in the economy so tax rate should be lower interest rate should be lower because it becomes easy for people to get more funds for investment for loans so that they can flourish their business their ideas their education their dreams right exchange rate should be moderate एकदम नीचे भी नहीं होना चाहिए सो दैट वी इंसेंटिवाइज एक्सपोर्ट थोड़ा इंपोर्ट होगा तो क्वालिटी भी बनी रहेगी राइट एकदम ही एक्सचेंज रेट गिर जाएगा विच विल मीन दैट वी बिकम मोस्ट सुपीरियर चाइना के साथ ये प्रॉब्लम हो गई दोस्त ठीक है चाइना के साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ चाइना बिकेम सो स्ट्रांग चाइना इतना स्ट्रांग बन गया दैट पीपल ओके दैट पीपल स्टार्टेड टू नॉट इम्पोर्ट एवरीथिंग और सब कुछ अपने देश के अंदर ही करने लग गए ओके नाउ लुक एट दिस व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन यू आर सो सेल्फ सेंटर्ड एज अ कंट्री राइट the value or the quality of products from US became equal to the quality of products that people were getting themselves in China right China का product US का product same हो गया in China right they increase their quality इतना उन्होंने पैसा infuse करके super economy बन चुके हैं वो right now, what is happening is the innovation, right, is stagnating. People are not looking outside कि बाहर क्या हो रहा है कंपटीशन ही नहीं रहा दोस्त अपने देश के अंदर ही घूमे जा रहे हैं they are very closed now everything is within their own country उनको बाहर जाने का कोई जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ रहा है right so this is also creating issue for the economy we need interaction with the globe what is happening in US what is happening in Spain what is happening in Italy what is happening in France what is happening in Vietnam Indonesia में क्या हो रहा है दोस्त भूटान में क्या हो रहा है दोस्त चाइना में क्या हो रहा है जापान में क्या हो रहा है साउथ कोरिया में क्या हो रहा है पता होना चाहिए ना कि क्या इकोनॉमी है क्या नई टेक्नोलॉजी है व्हाट इज न्यू इनोवेशन व्हाट इज न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी व्हाट आर न्यू बिजनेस मॉडल्स ये जोमैटो फ्लिपकार्ट सब बाहर के आइडियाज हैं राइट वी हैव इम्प्लीमेंटेड दोज इन आवर कंट्री ओला उबर सब बाहर के आइडियाज हैं they were possible because we are an open economy we are ready to accept ideas from the outside because our exchange rate is low हम सस्ते हैं we need to look outside right that is an opportunity that creates so exchange rate should also be moderate इतना सारा दिमाग लगाना पड़ता है सरकार को पॉलिसी मेकर्स को while creating all of these policies they have to understand कि भाई देश कैसे चलाना है absolutely like a frog in the well dimple absolutely it's like a frog in the well that is his or her own world doesn't know outside क्या है there are so many opportunities outside but if you're so self-centered as an economy you're going to die a slow death right अगर 1 रुपीज इक्वल टू $1 तो ये क्या अच्छा है या नहीं मेरे हिसाब से तो अच्छा नहीं है दोस्त राइट because that is what I'm telling you it should be well controlled it should be well because we are a very different economy than US okay US is a very developed country if you go on road आज के टाइम में you go outside your house if you look at how your country looks versus how a foreign country looks it's zameen asman ka difference we are reaching there we are catching up we are reaching there we will be there in the next 30 40 50 years which is fine US is independent for 400 years उनको 400 साल हो गए हैं दोस्त इंडिपेंडेंट हुए राइट ब्रिटेन हजारों साल से फ्री है they are their own and we are only 75 years old as a nation we cannot compare right this is like एक साल के बच्चे को बोलो यार तू सीए क्यों नहीं बन रहा नहीं बन सकता ना दोस्त कैसे बनेगा उसको पढ़ना लिखना ही नहीं आता है अभी So it's like comparing the two different things and then being sad about it. Okay. So India as a country is very young. We're just 75 years old and we're comparing ourselves to nations which are 400, 500, thousands of years of legacy of independence and democracy is what they have. We do not have that, right? But we are still catching up very fast. We're catching up very fast, okay? And that is where I think if we become equal, flop हो जाएगा, because we are very different, right? We are very different. You and me are very different. Or if you say Shah Rukh Khan starts wearing Ranveer Singh वाले कपड़े, flop हो जाएगा दोस्त, right? अपनी अपनी पर्सनालिटी है, अपना अपने देश की पर्सनालिटी होती है, right? So you have to maintain that, and that is where exchange rates come into picture, right? Exchange rates help you maintain the country's personality because you know the position of your country. Yeah, we are still very poor. I can go and increase export. I'd say if the government comes and says, let us export everything that we produce. Chawal, dal, atta, sofa, kapda, laptop, TV, chashma, lens, bal, ye, ghadi, wadi. Everything is what we'll export. Let's be the world's biggest exporter. We can be. 15 साल के अंदर अंदर we can be the world's biggest exporter. We can have massive, massive forex, right? But क्या हमारा देश वैसा है? No, no. We need artisans, we need art, we need culture, we need religion, we need people, we need XYZ. हर चीज हमारे लिए पैसा नहीं है as a country, right? We are more inclined to culture, we are more inclined to family structures, we are less inclined to having massive dreams and monies, we are more inclined to having a comfortable life. Balance banana है दोस्त, right? That is where macro policies come into picture. Okay, that is why I love this subject. Is it's open ended. This has nothing to do with audit, taxation, accounting. This is basic common sense and how policies, how businesses strategize, how businesses think, how the government thinks, how Nirmala Sitaraman is sitting and thinking those. These are simple things that they are also doing. यही कर रहे हैं वो भी. Budget में भी यही आ रहा है. We have just complicated everything, right? This is what they're doing. बस कॉम्प्लिकेटेड करके हमने बना दिया, ओ बजट आ गया, ओ ये हो गया, टैक्स का रेट हो गया. दिस इज व्हाट दे डूइंग दोस्त. दे आर जस्ट लुकिंग फॉर द नेक्स्ट 20 years. देश को 20 साल आगे कहाँ लेके जाना है, उसके लिए दे आर क्रिएटिंग पॉलिसीज. सिंपल, राइट? कूल, लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट वन. एवरीथिंग क्लियर टिल नाउ? गिव मी अ थम्स अप. वी आर 1 hour इनटू द चैप्टर. नेक्स्ट 1 hour में चैप्टर खत्म हो जाएगा. Give me a thumbs up if no questions. If you have questions, ask me. In Pakistan, 270 rupees का $1 हो गया. I know. Pakistan is in ruins. पाकिस्तान ने अपना बेड़ा गर्क कर लिया दोस्त, right? Holding hands with China and all the geopolitical drama that they do, it has just gone for a toss. प्रीति, इंडिपेंडेंस के टाइम ही ठीक था जब ये है ना. आई नो, इंडिपेंडेंस के टाइम ही ठीक था. वी वर ऑल भी, तब गाड़ी भी नहीं थी, तो स्कूटर, लैपटॉप भी नहीं था. अभी सब कुछ है. इंडिपेंडेंस के टाइम ठीक तो था, बट फिर आपकी डेवलपमेंट नहीं होती बिल्कुल. Absolutely, then you won't have interest to do any hard work. Absolutely, there will be no competition. कंपटीशन ही होगा तो फिर आप आलसी हो जाओगे. परफेक्ट. वैष्णवी, इतने छोटे छोटे चैप्टर्स में 2 घंटे में क्या ब्रेक? 2 घंटे में आप पूरा, इफ आई टेल यू अभी यू हैव टू सी सम कोरियन ड्रामा, 1-1 घंटे का उनके एपिसोड होता है, 5 देखोगे एक साथ बिना ब्रेक के. आई कैन गारंटी, सुसु भी नहीं करने जाओगे. मेरे को पता है. यहाँ पे यू आस्किंग फॉर अ ब्रेक. निश्चित इज फुल एंटी पाकिस्तान. ग्रेट, ओके. GDP collapsed in Turkey. Turkey में भी हुआ. Turkey is in difficult position because of the earthquake as well now. And it's not Turkey, it's Turkey. नाम ही change कर दिया है. If you go to Google and see, Turkey has changed their name to Turkey, which is also crazy. I don't know why, but okay. Perfect. Let's go to the next topic, which is again बड़ा ही simple. The heading of the topic is policy formulation and impact transmission. इतना complicated नाम रख दिया heading का, but इसका simple मतलब क्या है? What are we going to study, right? What are we going to study here is policy formulation. भैया policy बनती कैसे है? What is the process? What are the steps in creating a policy? ओके, व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स इन क्रिएटिंग अ पॉलिसी, वो पढ़ेंगे. फर्स्ट आई विल एक्सप्लेन यू विद एन एग्जाम्पल एंड देन वी विल लुक एट दिस थिंग जो इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हमें स्लाइड बना दिया है. ठीक है, नाउ थिंक अबाउट दिस. यू आर द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ अ स्कूल. ठीक है, अभी आप बनाओगे पॉलिसी, देखना आप बनाओगे पॉलिसी और आप ये सब कुछ करोगे, आप ये सब कुछ करोगे एंड यू विल हैव द कॉन्सेप्ट. ओके, लिसन टू मी वेरी केयरफुली फॉर द नेक्स्ट 2 minutes. यू आर द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ अ स्कूल. आप अपने स्कूल के, लेट्स से आप अपने स्कूल के प्रिंसिपल हो. नाउ यू सी दैट अ लॉट ऑफ 11th एंड 12th के बच्चे हैव स्टार्टेड स्मोकिंग सिगरेट्स इन द स्कूल. आपको पता चला कि बहुत सारे बच्चे स्मोक करने लग गए हैं, स्कूल की छत पे जा रहे हैं, प्ले ग्राउंड में जा रहे हैं, दे आर हाइडिंग बिहाइंड बिल्डिंग्स इन शेडी प्लेसेस अराउंड द बिल्डिंग कैंपस एरिया, एंड यू सी अ लॉट ऑफ सिगरेट बड्स ऑन द फ्लोर एंड यू फिगर आउट यार बच्चे गलत जा रहे हैं. राइट, यू नीड to do something, you need to create a policy framework to control this problem in your school. ठीक, ठीक है, you got the context. This is called policy context. इसको बोलते हैं पॉलिसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट कि भैया प्रॉब्लम क्या है, what is the current situation which we need to control. That is called policy context. This is called policy context कि यार existing problem क्या है. Okay, then you go and you do a policy content. That means you create a policy to solve this problem. You create a policy to solve this problem, which is called policy का content क्या है, policy क्या है. So absolutely, now you tell me what should be the policy content to solve this problem. The first one I get is, right, the first thing that I see is we will give TC to those students. Great. Okay. That is a policy content you would give as a principal. What else? How will you solve this problem? Give me some creative examples. Give me some creative policies. कि people are smoking. Kids 11, 12 के बच्चे smoke कर रहे हैं स्कूल में. How will, that is a context. That is a problem. What policy you will create to solve this problem? Be creative and tell me. क्या करोगे? 1,000 rupees fine, suspend. Okay, एब्सोल्युटली आपके स्कूल में हो रहा था तनमीज, सस्पेंड कर दिया उन्होंने. राइट, फिर भी नहीं सुधरे, वो अलग बात है, बताएंगे क्यों नहीं सुधरे. बट पॉलिसी कंटेंट इज द पॉलिसी सस्पेंड, फाइन ऑफ 1,000 rupees, गिव देम द टीसी, राइट, विच इज टर्मिनेशन सर्टिफिकेट. व्हाट एल्स? कुटाई होनी चाहिए बच्चों की. वेरी गुड भव्या, ये जबरदस्त आपने दिया है. पुलिस आ जाएगी फिर हमें मत भूलना, कुटाई होनी चाहिए. वर्ड यूसेज देखो, कुटाई. वाह, पिटाई भी नहीं, कुटाई होनी चाहिए. ओके, if anyone is caught smoking, they will be punished and fined. Okay, fine imposes on them punishment. Okay, great. Make volunteers to keep sight on them. Absolutely, that's fantastic. ये हुई ना आपकी प्रीफेक्ट जैसी बात. मनीष, मुझे तो लग रहा है यू वर द हेड बॉय ऑफ द स्कूल. मेक वॉलंटियर्स टू कीप साइट ऑन देम, एकदम हेड बॉय वाली बात की है. Restrict them from entering the school. Okay, then restrict them from giving examinations. Increase tax on those. ये देखो अंकित स्कूल की बात कर रहे हैं दोस्त, टैक्स कैसे बढ़ाओगे उस पे? अभी एक स्कूल में लोग सिगरेट पीते, पूरे देश का टैक्स बढ़ा दें. भव्या तो मार पिटाई पे पहुंचे हुए भाई. भव्या ये एक दो थप्पड़ लगा दो, दो लात लगा दो. भव्या प्लीज कंट्रोल, शांति. मार कुटाई नहीं मचानी है हमको. सप्लाई मोर सिगरेट्स एट हायर प्राइजेस. अभिषेक तो एकदम धंधा, दिस इज न्यू. अभिषेक आपका योर सरनेम शुड नॉट बी पासवान, योर शुड बी अभिषेक अदानी लगवा लो आप. थिंकिंग ऑफ मेकिंग मनी आउट ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम ऑल्सो. 7 days suspend and punishment. Okay, suspend. Guardian को call करो. We tell about their parents. Okay, what else? Aisha, what is kutai? Kutai is pitai. There is some slang word of North India for pitai, which is beating or slapping them. It's sending staff on rounds, volunteering. Okay, putting up cameras. ये तो कोई बोल नहीं रहा, कैमरा कोई लगा ही नहीं रहा. बिल्कुल टेक्नोलॉजी से परे बच्चे हो यार आप लोग. Nobody is telling put cameras on. CCTV आया ना. Okay, complain to the parents, put CCTV आया. Dimple is technology driven. Great. Track them. तो क्या बैंड को ट्रैक करते रहे? ये देखो, अंकित इज और धुलाई करो, ये बच्चों को मार पिटाई करा लो, आज संडे है, इनके सब धुलाई पिटाई कुटाई लात मुक्का सब बजा दिया आपने. ग्रेट. You get the context, okay? There is a problem, and then you create a policy. Okay, it's your school. आपको कुटाई करनी है, पिटाई करनी है, दोस्त करो, आपका स्कूल है, okay? Now this is what policy content is, okay? Now this is what policy content is. कि this is how we are going to solve the problem. The next step is called institutions, okay? Institutions क्या है? Institutions in this case are supervisors, right? Supervisors, there are class teachers, there are class teachers, you have head boys and head girls, head boy, head girls हैं, right? Then there are parents, okay? Then there are parents, there are wardens, there are guardians. इन सबको जाके ये पूछेंगे. The principal will call everyone, okay? The principal will call everyone and say, boss, listen. People in a school are smoking cigarettes. I do not accept it at all. I am against this. This needs to stop. What I'm doing from tomorrow is if we are going to put CCTV cameras, if we find anyone smoking, they are going to be suspended for 7 days and their parents have to put a fine of 10,000 rupees. Their parents will be called in the school and they will be counseled. We will have a counselor who will do counseling of those kids. And if they're caught for the second time, they're going to be permanently terminated from giving examinations. And if they're caught for the third time, continuously still smoking, they will be terminated from the school. This is the policy content. Basis your answers, we created a policy content. Now the principal has called everyone, supervisors, classmates, head boys, head girls, that they have called certain parents as well, ki aap bhi aao, right? And then she or he, you as the principal, are telling that this is what my plan is. What do you think? Is this going to work? Is this good or not? Is it good for the school or is it not good for the school? Is it going to work or not? What are your views? What is your feedback? इसको बोलते हैं institutions. इसको बोलते हैं institutions, okay? इसको बोलते हैं institutions. Taking feedback, taking insights, taking more help or taking feedback कह सकते हैं, insights कह सकते हैं, advice कह सकते हैं from people who are actually senior in the economy, right? They know the children, they know their friends, the supervisors and class teachers know the students, right? इसको बोलते हैं institution. So a government has a problem, creates a policy, and it goes to institutions. Like for monetary policy goes to RBI, SBI, SEBI, goes to banks. Banks को जाके बोलते हैं इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ाने वाले हैं, क्या सही है या नहीं? बैंक से ठीक है, आप बढ़ा दीजिए, right? Institutions के पास जाके they take a feedback. They go and take advice from the institutions. If they're changing the foreign exchange policy, they goes to the biggest exporters, biggest importers in the country like a Reliance, Tata, Maruti, Adani, Ambani, wherever they go, right? They call these people, right? They call these people and say that, boss, we are going to change the country's policy. We want to promote more of exports. This is what we are going to do. Does it make sense to you or not? We want your advice and feedback. These institutions give their advice and feedback, basis which the government changes the policies. Okay, this is what happens. Then it uses instruments. The next is instruments. अभी instruments क्या है? CCTV कैमरा, ठीक है? CCTV लगाया हमने, 10,000 रुपए का फाइन लगा दिया. 10,000 रुपए का 10K का हमने फाइन लगा दिया. टीसी देने की धमकी दे दी, ठीक है? और एग्जाम्स में नहीं बैठने देंगे, ये भी हमने धमकी दे दी, राइट? दीज आर इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स. These are instruments for policy implementation. These are instruments for policy implementation. पॉलिसी को काम करने के लिए, फॉर इम्प्लीमेंटिंग द पॉलिसी, वी यूज इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स विच विल हेल्प इन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, एक्चुअली पुटिंग पॉलिसी इन प्लेस. सीसीटीवी हमने यूज किया, 10,000 का फाइन, टर्म एग्जाम में नहीं बैठने देंगे, एंड वी विल गिव यू अ टीसी इफ यू कॉट फॉर द थर्ड टाइम. वी आर यूजिंग दीज एज इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स to promote our policy, right? Same for government, tax holidays, SEZ banana, right? Special economic zones, giving tax benefits, giving subsidies, interest rate ऊपर नीचे करना, exchange rate ऊपर नीचे करना, राइट? डॉलर के रेट के साथ खेलना, मार्केट के प्राइजेस के साथ खेलना, पुटिंग एन एमएसपी, पुटिंग एन एमआरपी फॉर द प्रोडक्ट्स, एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट कस्टम ड्यूटी चेंज करना, इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हैं। कस्टम ड्यूटी इज एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट टू इम्प्लीमेंट पॉलिसी। कस्टम ड्यूटी गिरा दो, एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ जाएंगे, इंपोर्ट बढ़ जाएंगे, कस्टम ड्यूटी बढ़ा दो, इंपोर्ट घट जाएंगे, राइट? दे यूज दीज इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स। इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ा दो, लोग लोन नहीं लेंगे, कंजम्पशन गिर जाएगी, राइट? इंटरेस्ट रेट घटा दो, लोन लेना शुरू कर देंगे, डेवलपमेंट शुरू हो जाएगी। इट इज एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट. So government uses these as instruments to implement their policy. Okay. Policy context, what is the problem? Policy content, how do we want to implement? What is our policy for this problem ka solution? Institutions taking feedback from the people, advice, taking advice, not just the feedback, but an advice, but an insight from people, actual people, the think tank, right? Using instruments to implement the policy. And finally, market participation. That means market participation classic है running pilots. ठीक है? For the 3 months, you run this policy and see what the feedback from actual people is, right? Let's say for your school, you implement this policy in school assembly. You as the principal stand on the stage and tell everyone that, look, from today, right after the assembly is over, this new policy is coming into school. If you are caught smoking cigarettes, this is what we will do. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And I strongly recommend all those who are smoking within the school premises to stop it right away, also outside, and to give them some gyan and everything, right? You implement this for 3 months and you see if people or students are actually scared of this or not. Now, let's say this is called market participants, which are actual implementation होने के बाद, what is the response of the people? What is the response of the people? Now, आपने तो implement कर दिया, बच्चे कह रहे हैं हाँ ठीक है कर दो जो करना है, हमें एग्जाम में नहीं बैठेंगे, छोड़ो 10,000 रुपए ये लो, मेरे से ले लो 10,000 रुपए, मैं तो फिर भी स्मोक करूंगा, आपको जो करना है आप कर लो, राइट? If this is the response what the students give, what you will do is you will say, okay, now we are going to change the policy again. It is going to be termination at sight. The moment you are caught smoking, you are terminated forever from the school. आपको किसी स्कूल में एडमिशन नहीं मिलेगा. हम आपके in your character certificate we will give you a 0 out of 10. You are ruined for your life. Right? You will never be able to complete your school. You're not going to any college. You will not get admission in any college. This is what we are going to do, right? You switch the policy to make it even harder, right? This is from a feedback how you change policies. You implement it and then you make it harder if needed. Policies are always started as a soft policy. सीट बेल्ट नहीं पहनोगे 500 रुपए जुर्माना, ठीक है? आपने अगर इफ यू क्रॉस रेड लाइट 100 रुपए जुर्माना, राइट? दैट इज वेयर इट स्टार्टेड. Now, seat belt is 2,000, 2,500 rupees. Drinking driving, 1 lakh rupees, right? It becomes harder in phases. It becomes stronger in phases to give a stronger message to the public what is right and what is wrong. Okay. That is called market participants. Actual implementation के बाद feedback क्या आ रहा है, right? That is called market participants. Policy context, policy content, institutions, instruments, market participants. Simple. This is called policy implementation, मेरे दोस्त. ठीक है? Question on your screen. There's a question on your screen very quickly. Bank rates being adjusted to increase or decrease credit supply in economy can be termed as what? बड़ा ही आसान क्वेश्चन है. I'll just take 10 more seconds. इसमें ज्यादा हमें टाइम स्पेंड नहीं करना है दोस्त. For all those who watch Big Boss, आज रात को तो फिनाले है दोस्त. ये कौन सी जनता है जो पॉलिसी कंटेंट लिख रही है, और ये कौन सी जनता जो मार्केट पार्टिसिपेंट्स लिख रही है? आपकी भी कुटाई होनी चाहिए if you're giving the wrong answer. This is what I told you 30 seconds back अभी। 30 सेकंड पहले समझाया मैंने और फिर गलत आंसर दे रहे हो। देखिए साथ में क्या तारक मेहता देख रहे हो क्या, जो क्लास नहीं देख रहे आप ध्यान से? द करेक्ट आंसर इज पॉलिसी इंस्ट्रूमेंट दोस्त। बैंक रेट एडजस्ट कर रहे हैं टू इंक्रीज और डिक्रीज द क्रेडिट सप्लाई। वो इंस्ट्रूमेंट है बैंक रेट। बैंक रेट को द गवर्नमेंट यूजेस एज एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट टू मैनिपुलेट द पॉलिसी। सिंपल। ओके। इंटरेस्ट रेट, बैंक रेट, अभी तो पढ़ा था हमने। इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ा दो, एक्सचेंज रेट घटा दो, कस्टम ड्यूटी बढ़ा दो, पॉलिसी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हैं ये। ओके। करेक्ट। The next one is there are four types of public policies. जो starting में we were talking about policies कि they restrict us from doing anything or they promote anything. Okay. Four types of public policies. Number one, protective. Restrictive, number two, regulatory, number three, and facilitating, number four. Very simple, 2 minutes. Protective, to protect. Restrictive, to stop. Regulatory, to check. Facilitating, to help. Protective means to protect. For example, custom duties. Custom duties protect the Indian products from foreign competition. Right? Custom duty अगर हम बढ़ा देंगे, if the custom duty is increased, that means the government wants the domestic products to win over foreign products. कि भाई कोई बाहर से लाओगे तो आपको 4 गुना महंगा पड़ेगा, राइट? इंडिया से लोगे तो आपको सस्ता पड़ेगा। सो दैट इज कॉल्ड प्रोटेक्टिव पॉलिसीज एंड custom duties are used as protective policy instruments. Restrictive, to stop. बिहार में अल्कोहल बैन है, गुजरात में अल्कोहल बैन है। चाइल्ड लेबर अबॉलिश, देयर यू कैन, चाइल्ड लेबर इज बैन अक्रॉस इंडिया। रेस्ट्रिक्टिव पॉलिसी है, भाई आप बच्चों से काम नहीं करवा सकते, ये रेस्ट्रिक्टिव पॉलिसी है, वरना आपको फाइन लगेगा, आपको जेल में डाल देंगे, राइट? रेगुलेटरी, टू चेक, लाइक सेबी, रेरा, IRDAI, ये सब इंस्टीट्यूशंस आर देयर टू चेक कोई फ्रॉड तो नहीं कर रहा, कोई स्कैम तो नहीं कर रहा, बैंक्स में स्कैम तो नहीं हो रहा, मार्केट में स्कैम तो नहीं हो रहा है, right? To control, to check, to keep a check on people's activities, RBI, police, right? Regulatory is police as well. The traffic regulatory है वो, राइट? कि आप पे चेक रखने के लिए। सेम सेबी, IRDAI, मार्केट पे चेक रखने के लिए, हॉस्पिटल्स पे चेक रखने के लिए IMA, इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन कीप्स अ चेक ऑन द मेडिकल businesses in India, right? These are regulatory policies to keep a check on businesses. कोई fraud तो नहीं कर रहा है, कोई scam तो नहीं कर रहा है, people are not being looted in India. RBI keeps a check on Paytm, on phone पे, भाई लोगों को लूट तो नहीं रहे हो, राइट? उनके ट्रांजैक्शंस पैसे बैंक से निकाल के गायब करती है, because they have access to your information now, right? So regulatory policies, facilitating, like subsidies देना, loan boosters देना, national skill development, education loans, then startup India, make in India. These are facilitating policies, like make in India, startup India, then women entrepreneurs, right? All of this is to help businesses to grow. These are called facilitating public policies. So public policy means policy of the government is of four types: protective, restrictive, regulatory, facilitating. Protective, to protect the Indian business people from the foreign, right? Restrictive, to stop certain things. To regulatory, to keep a check on things. And facilitating is to help in flourishing or succeeding a business, right? Great. अभी मैंने आपको बताया स्टार्टअप इंडिया, आई एम नॉट डूइंग दिस क्वेश्चन, ओके, यू नो दिस। स्टार्टअप इंडिया इज ए फैसिलिटेटिंग, अभी बताया मैंने आपको। स्टार्टअप इंडिया इज एन इनिशिएटिव विच इज facilitating, it helps startups in India to succeed and flourish in the economy. Okay, four types में facilitating is the right answer for startup India. Same for make in India. Same for make in India. Same for women entrepreneurship. Okay, great. अब आ जाओ, असली क्वेश्चन आपकी स्क्रीन पे अब है। There's a question on your screen. Let's see if you can answer this. What is the term used for revising the already active policies? What is the term used for revising the already active policies? We call it policy correction, we call it policy reform, we call it policy checks, or we call it policy policing. Great. Aisha, Samina, and Ankita have given the answers. I'm waiting for others as well. Policy check, policy reform, Sarthak, Simran, Alpitangal, Dimple, okay. Rishalang is given, Aisha is given, great. Vaishnavi, Pragati, Ruchika, Rishu, Aisha is there, Lovepreet is there, Smriti, Lisa is there. What else? Smriti is given, Nishit is given, great. Okay, Vaishnavi again, policy checks. The correct answer is policy reforms. Policy reforms, okay. The correct answer is policy reforms. इसको बोलते हैं policy reform. Reform. Re जमा form. Form means formulation. फिर से बनाने को. Change हो रहा है ना. Reformulation. Revising already active policy is reformulation to reform. Okay. It is called policy reform. It's called a policy reform. Cool. Let's go to the next one, which is the economic reforms of 1992. The economic reform of 1992. तो क्या हुआ? 1950 में हम लोग रिपब्लिक हो गए. We became a mixed economy where our communism was more and capitalism was less. Through the years, capitalism हमने बढ़ाया, communism हमने घटाया. When we came to 1992 में our finance minister was Dr. Manmohan Singh. Okay. Our finance minister back there was Dr. Manmohan Singh, and India faced a historic challenge. इंडिया के पास सिर्फ एक दिन का खर्चा बचा था. इंडिया ओनली हैड मनी इन द बैंक फॉर 1 day ऑफ स्पेंडिंग. सिर्फ एक दिन के खर्चे का पैसा बचा था. इतनी बुरी हालत हो गई थी. सिर्फ एक दिन. इफ यू जो खर्चा एक दिन में होना था, नेक्स्ट डे इंडिया का बैंक बैलेंस होता 0. देश का बैंक बैलेंस होता 0. Now this was a great problem for a finance minister who was Dr. Manmohan Singh. Now what he did was he brought in the economic reforms of 1992, which we call as LPG policy, liberalization, privatization and globalization. LPG. Liberalization, privatization, globalization. Very simple. Liberalization. Liberalization का मतलब है कि भैया easy कर दो सब चीजें. The law should be easy, the taxation should be easy, the restrictions on businesses should be easy. We should not control the businesses too much. Let businesses do what they want to do. Let them make money. Let them make profits, right? Taxation should be easier. Laws should be easier. People should not spend. पहले कंपनी खोलने में 5 महीने लगते थे. Fill 20 forms, stamp करो, लेके जाओ, फीस भरो, रिजेक्ट हो गया, bring that back, again fill the forms, get it notary public से notified, go to a government officer, they will sign and prove it, it will go to the ministry will approve it, then you open a company, then you start doing business. Complicated. 5 महीने कंपनी खोलने में लग रहा है. When will I do a business? If I want to do नवरात्रि में चनिया चोली का बिजनेस, 5 महीने तो कंपनी खोलने में लग, अगली नवरात्रि में जाके काम करूंगा क्या? Right? This was the problem with India. Then we brought in, then liberalization eased all of this. Liberalization was focused on easing everything. भाई छोटा जल्दी करो, quick, it should be quick, it should be easy. People should be more business oriented and less कि ये सरकार से इतना सारा ताम झाम मत कराओ यार. It should be easy for people to do business, right? That is what liberalization meant. Privatization, right? Privatization means government sells its own ownership to private players. सरकार ने बोला we don't want to control things now. Start selling off our businesses to general public. इंश्योरेंस में फॉरेन प्लेयर्स को आने दो, कार मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में फॉरेन प्लेयर्स को, प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स को आने दो, राइट? टाटा को गाड़ी बनाने दो, राइट? इंश्योरेंस में एलआईसी नहीं, आईसीआईसीआई बैंक इंश्योरेंस, टाटा एआईजी, बिरला एआईजी, सन एआई, सन इंश्योरेंस, दिस इंश्योरेंस, दैट, लेट इंश्योरेंस बी ऑल्सो प्राइवेट. हमें नहीं कंट्रोल करनी, हम अपना, वी विल डू अ मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी थिंग. We will also be there, but we will let private people also do businesses, right? Coal, let Adani, Ambani, Tata, whoever wants to do. They took the opportunity, but let anyone who wants to do coal business do. Anyone wants to do petroleum business, karo bhai. Hum mana nahi kar rahe. Sarkar is not going to control petrol, right? It will be a mixed economy. They started privatizing. They started encouraging private business people to do more business what the government was doing earlier. Okay, जो हम कर रहे हैं, जो हम इतना सारा कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, हमें नहीं करना. आप करो, पैसा कमाओ, प्रॉफिट कमाओ, देश को आगे लेके जाओ, राइट? नंबर 3 was globalization. That means letting foreign people come into India. याद है चैप्टर 3 में पढ़ा था, अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस आ गई, आईबीएम, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट आया, अमेजन आया इंडिया में. क्यों आया? क्योंकि ग्लोबलाइजेशन. वी टोल्ड देम, बॉस, वेलकम टू इंडिया. Please come and do your business here. We are happy to have you in India. We have so many people, right? Please come to India and work. This is called globalization. This is called globalization, allowing people from the outside to come into your country and do business, right? This is called globalization, opening the doors to the globe. अपने घर का दरवाजा खोला कि भाई आओ, मिलके काम करते हैं. Let us grow together. This is called LPG policy of 1992. Liberalization, privatization, globalization. Okay. Now, quotas in which sense? Removing quotas in bars. That means earlier there were quotas. If you know, there was something called as I don't remember. क्या बोलते थे? Raj. There were some Raj quotas, Rajsi quotas, and everything, where only certain people of certain area could do a particular business, right? Earlier, only Baniyas could do this, only this sector could do this. ऐसे quotas होते थे, right? कि only you get preferential rights. अब सरकार के पास जाओ कि मेरे को ये business करना, सरकार ठीक है, सिर्फ आप ही करोगे और कोई नहीं कर सकता. We are giving you a special right. They removed all those rights. Okay, they removed all those rights. They wanted everyone to be an equal competitor. उसको बोला था removing quotas and bars. Okay, there were certain law, license Raj, right? It was called license Raj. Earlier it was there from British. India continue करता रहा, उसको भी हटाया था, right? That is called liberalization, easing, making it more competitive, making it easy for everyone to do business. Liberalization. Okay. Now, you look at the picture, this is what we did. India from a locked country looking inwards, apne mein hi khush, we became a fierce animal. We became a fierce tiger who was roaring for growth. Okay. This is how we transformed our India's public policy through LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. But question ये है कि भाई जरूरत क्या थी हमें ये सब करने की? Why we needed all of this, why we led ourselves into such a situation where we needed such steps to open our economy. Okay. Why are ISRO, DRDO, atomic research, armed tools not open for private institutions? Rohit, great question. अपने देश को थोड़ी ना बेच दोगे दोस्त. These are very sensitive areas. Space exploration, army, defense. ये बाकी countries को पता नहीं होना चाहिए ना आप क्या कर रहे हो. Right? This is something very crucial to yourself. आपके घर में कौन लड़ रहा है ये बाहर वालों को नहीं पता होना चाहिए ना. Same like it's confidential thing. It's a competitive world. अगर चाइना को पता चल गया कि आप मिसाइल कहाँ बनाते हो, कैसे बनाते हो, या अगले 6 महीने बाद आप अपनी सैटेलाइट कहाँ भेजने वाले हो, तो क्या मतलब उसमें आपको भी पता है क्या हो सकता है, राइट? दैट इज वाई दीज आर नॉट प्राइवेट. ये तो कॉमन सेंस थी नहीं. ठीक है. Coming back to what was the need for reforms. Now, number one was our social security was good, but our infrastructural development was super low. When government was controlling everything, people were very satisfied कि सरकार सब कुछ करके दे देगी. राशन कार्ड बन गया, राशन मिल जाएगा, आटा दाल चावल मिल जाएगा, पानी फ्री में मिलता है हमको, राइट. सोने को छत है, गांव की छत में नीचे बैठे हैं, आसमान देख रहे हैं, कोई एम्बिशन ही नहीं है, राइट. People had so much social security that they become ambitionless. India's people, the youth, young people were ambitionless because they were getting so much social security. सरकार से आटा चावल पानी दाल तेल सब कुछ मिल रहा है, काम क्यों करूं मैं? मुझे बताओ, क्यों करूं मैं काम? सब कुछ तो सरकार दे रही है मेरे को, वो भी फ्री में, सब्सिडी 2-2 रुपए में दे रही है, राइट. This was creating a problem for the economy because we as a country were not able to grow. People were becoming super lazy. Okay. Number two, fall of Warsaw Pact between Soviet and its allies. Okay. The Soviet Union, which consisted of Russia, Poland, Ukraine, all these, right? All these countries in the Soviet Union, there was a union of like 17, 18 countries. It broke off. The union broke in the upper northern western part of Asia. Asia के geopolitical में, right, the other countries were changing. They were breaking out from each other and Russia opened its economy. रशिया ने क्या बोला कि यार मैं तो अब पूरी दुनिया से ट्रेड करूंगा. I will open my economy and I will become the world, I will become a trader with all the other countries. Now this meant that Russia is going to take away an opportunity that India should also grab. इंडिया क्यों ये अपॉर्चुनिटी लूज करे भाई, पूरे देश से इंटरेक्ट करने की, टू इंटरेक्ट एंड ट्रेड, टू मेक मनी विद एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड इंपोर्ट्स विद द एंटायर ग्लोब. देयर वाज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी. Countries were splitting up, countries were opening up, our neighbors were opening up. Why should we not open up? We will lose that opportunity, right? So India had to open up to fight the neighborhood of the countries we were neighbor, उनका competition. Formation of European Union. जब ये सब हो रहा था यूरोप में, एक यूरोपियन यूनियन बन रहा था, राइट. ऑल दीज कंट्रीज इन यूरोपियन यूनियन, राइट, जो जर्मनी या स्पेन या ऑल दीज कंट्रीज, ग्रीस वगैरह, ये सब मिलके यूरोपियन यूनियन बन रहा था. नाउ यू हैव सीन ब्रिटेन exited the European Union. ब्रिटेन था उसमें पोलैंड था उसमें, ऑल दीज यूरोपियन कंट्रीज टुगेदर हैव दिस यूरोपियन यूनियन, एंड दैट वाज मेकिंग इट इजी फॉर अदर कंट्रीज टू डू बिजनेस विद यूरोप. आपको अगर यूरोप के साथ बिजनेस करना है तो आपको सिर्फ यूरोपियन यूनियन के साथ बिजनेस करना है, उसके अंदर सारी कंट्रीज अपने आप आ जाती थी. सो इट वाज बिकमिंग वेरी वेरी easy to do business with Europe because of formation of European Union. And we did not want to lose this opportunity, boss. ये opportunity lose करते तो देश कभी आगे नहीं बढ़ पाता. And finally, we had huge loan from International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and then Agricultural Development Bank of the World. High inflation rate था. Gold हमने बहुत ज्यादा mortgage किया था इन loans के लिए. हमारे सब कुछ हमने गिरवी रख दिया था अपना, right? We had to make money for which we had to open our economy. जिसके लिए we had to open our trade with other countries. And that is why these reforms became so necessary. We were going in a very bad position to save ourselves from this mayhem जो अभी पाकिस्तान के साथ हो रहा है, वो हमारे साथ हो जाता अगर हम ये नहीं करते तो. 270 रुपए का डॉलर, 500 रुपए का पेट्रोल, 600 रुपए के 6 अंडे, right? 6 eggs for 600 rupees. This is what is happening in Pakistan right now. This is the same problem we were in 1992. And so we did this reform. We opened up our economy and we safeguarded ourselves from that mayhem. Okay. This is what it is. Okay. Sure. I see a couple of questions, which is interesting. ये तो पता ही होना चाहिए अपने देश के बारे में. Okay. Let's see what the questions are. USSR, Manish, that is right. Europe, this is your Soviet Union. One question apart from subject where he asked doubts, maths. Okay, Aditya, you should write to VLC, which is virtual classes at ici.in. वहाँ पे just mention your maths wala thing and probably you will get the answers from there. Aditya, I've just answered your question. Okay. Your question is visible. Aryan, what is your question? If I missed, can you just write your question again? I might have missed. If you haven't, like, I'll just ask if you can repeat your question, Aryan. I'm happy to answer. IMF is International Monetary Fund. Okay, IMF is International Monetary Fund, which is like a huge bank, global bank, which gives loans to countries. वो देशों को लोन देता है. It gives loans to countries. Okay, it is International Monetary Fund. Great. Okay, the same thing what we talked about. All of this pushed India towards being more liberal, more private and global. India had to open up to survive. We had to push this massive elephant country, which is India, for us to be able to survive this mayhem that was coming on us. Okay, liberalization, very simple, very quickly. Economic liberalization is easing the laws, the taxation, the service-based economy, right? Making with the goal of making the economy more market and service-oriented, reducing tariffs, deregulating markets. These are keywords for exams, okay? ये सब आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा. These are keywords for exams. You want to underline, write it down somewhere, please write it down somewhere. Somebody might ask you, deregulating markets, right? Was a part of liberalization, privatization, or globalization? The answer is liberalization. Deregulating markets means lessening the number of laws, lessening the number of rules and regulations in the business, reducing import tariffs, tax kam kar diya, reducing taxes, reducing custom duties, deregulating markets, making laws easier, making doing business easier, right? Ease of business. Liberalization is ease of business. बिजनेस करने आसान कर बिजनेस करना आसान करने को बोलते हैं लिबरलाइजेशन. बिजनेस करना आसान करने को बोलते हैं लिबरलाइजेशन. मेकिंग it easier to do business is called liberalization policies. Any policy which helps in making it easy to do business in a country is called liberalization policy. Any policy which helps in doing business easily is called liberalization policy. Okay, great. Aryan, I can see all your questions and all your things that you're writing probably. Okay, if that is the thing. Ruchika, we don't have a Telegram channel. I checked internally. I don't know if we are allowed to do that or not. I'm not aware if we are personally allowed to open a Telegram channel. I checked. I was not allowed to do that. Okay. What is ABD? Agriculture Development Bank. That is also a global bank for agricultural development. Okay. Liberalization. You understood. Write down these keywords you want to underline in the study material. Please do that. These are exam oriented keywords. Reducing import tariffs, deregulating markets, reducing taxes, right? Okay. Next is privatization. Dekho, privatization means increasing the role of private businesses in relation to public sector businesses, right? Public sector means government ownership. Government अपनी ownership कम करके private businesses की ownership बढ़ाना चाहती है. It is called privatization. Letting people control the businesses, reducing your own stake. The government wanted to reduce its own stake in businesses, in economy, and let private business people take control of the economic businesses. Let them make money, let them make profits, let them decide the prices, let them go and do, let them be creative, let them be on their toes, let them compete with each other, right? Airtel competing with Jio, Vodafone, then Aircell, Idea, सब लोग आए आपस में लड़े जियो और एयरटेल रह गया, राइट? प्राइवेटाइजेशन की वजह से होता है. कंज्यूमर इज गोइंग टू बेनिफिट. जियो आएगा एयरटेल से लड़ेगा, कंज्यूमर को बेस्ट क्वालिटी, बेस्ट प्राइजेस मिलेंगे. दिस इज व्हाट प्राइवेटाइजेशन लीड्स टू. Now, there are four ways of doing privatization. There are four ways of doing privatization, which is number one, delegation. ठीक है? Four ways of doing privatization, right? Four ways of doing privatization is delegation, divestment, displacement, disinvestment. Okay. Delegation, divestment, displacement and disinvestment. Okay. इसको समझते हैं ध्यान से, इसको समझते हैं ध्यान से, right? You have one Telegram channel for accounts. I will have to check because I was told I shouldn't do that. I'll check that again. If that's possible, I'll do it. Not an issue. ठीक है? Aditya, अभी syllabus पढ़ लें please. Out of syllabus questions after the chapter will be really entertained. Okay. Now, delegation, divestment, displacement, and disinvestment. How do you understand privatization? Number one is delegation. Delegation means the government owns the business, but it gives private people to do the work, right? काम प्राइवेट वालों से करवाएंगे बट ओनरशिप गवर्नमेंट के पास रहेगी. The government will own a particular thing, but but the work will be done by some private player. What does that mean? Example do metro. Example do flyovers. Example do railways. Right? There are tenders. People, the government owns the metro, right? The government owns flyovers, government owns highways, toll plazas, government owns the railways, right? But there are private people who buy tenders, who participate in tenders, and they get money from the government to do that work. मेट्रो बनाने के लिए the foreign companies came and filled tenders. Larsen and Toubro, we studied about Larsen and Toubro chapter 3. Shapurji, Palonji, Tata Projects, right? The new Parliament House is being built by Tata Projects, right? Flyovers, bridges, airports. Airport कौन बनाता है? Private people are creating airports, but they don't own the airport. It is owned by the government. But वो प्राइवेट को कह रही है काम करो आप मेरे लिए, मैं आपको पैसे दूंगा, आप मेरे लिए काम करो. सो दैट द प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स मेक मनी, दे फाइट ईच अदर टू विन अ पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट एंड गिव द बेस्ट क्वालिटी एट द लोएस्ट प्राइस. ओके, सो गवर्नमेंट डज डेलीगेशन, right? They still own something, but they give contracts, grants, tenders to private players to do work. This is called privatization. Number one, delegation. Number two is divestment. Divestment is partial sale or slowly selling off a major stake to private investors, right? धीरे धीरे partial sale, धीरे धीरे टुकड़ों में, in piecemeal, selling off the government business in piecemeal to private players is called divestment. Selling off the government company or a government ownership in a company in small piecemeals, छोटे छोटे हिस्सों में बेचने को बोलते हैं divestment, so that eventually private people start owning that over a period of time. Displacement. Displacement we studied again in chapter number 2 कि भाई not fighting, right? Least caring, least about things are changing and letting the private players eat your business. That is called displacement, like MTNL, BSNL, classic examples. They did not change with time. वो 4G, 5G के चक्करों में पड़े ही नहीं. They kept on doing their landline business जब तक वो खुद ही बंद नहीं हो गया. Letting private players push you out of the competition. They are not fighting the competition that is happening. They are just sitting there and letting the private competition push you out of business. This is called displacement. That is a strategic move. That is a policy. That is a privatization policy technique of the government. We will not fight private competition. Once they start pushing us out, people will eventually अपने आप उनके पास जाएंगे because we are not giving quality, we are not giving the latest technology. Anyway, people will move to the private player. मैं ad पे खर्चा नहीं करूंगा, मैं technology पे खर्चा नहीं करूंगा, अपने आप out of business हो जाऊंगा. Automatically, बिना कुछ मेहनत किए आई विल बी आउट. ना बेचना है, ना डेलीगेट करना है, ना किसी को देना है, किसी से लेना है. आई हैव टू डू नथिंग. आई हैव टू जस्ट sit back and look at the show as my business dies, right? This is privatization because I, as a government, want private players to lead this industry, to lead this business. Okay, this is called displacement. Number 4 is disinvestment, right? Disinvestment means selling a portion in ownership to private players. Now, divestment and disinvestment are different, are basically the same thing, but the way of doing things is different. Divestment is partial sale of ownership, right? Slowly, piecemeal में छोटा 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 करके majority stake देना. Disinvestment is एक साथ ही पूरा शेयर बेच देना. एक साथ, in one go, if you sell a big portion, that is called disinvestment. If you are doing small pieces में 1%, 5%, then 7%, 6%, then 10% करते 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 करते, you sell a major portion, that is called divestment. And if you sell in one go, पूरा उठाया बेच दिया, जितना भी whatever ownership मेरी है, sell it to a private player, that is called disinvestment. Okay, that is called disinvestment. Divestment is like LIC. LIC की divestment हो रही है दोस्त. Disinvestment हुई है काफी बड़ी, कोल की हुई है, right? The ports की हुई है. Government has sold off port businesses to Adani, 100% उठा के बेच दिया उसको, right? While LIC is divestment, slowly they are selling LIC. एक साथ पूरा LIC नहीं बेच रहे हैं, right? But धीरे धीरे बेच रहे हैं. Disinvestment is पूरा एक साथ बेच देना, जैसे ports businesses being sold off to Adani. ले लो, you want to buy, you want to do business, हमसे शेयर पूरा ओनरशिप खरीद लो, हमें पैसे दे दो एज अ गवर्नमेंट, राइट? दिस इज कॉल्ड डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट. Delegation, divestment, displacement, disinvestment. The 4 Ds of privatization. The 4 ways of doing privatization by a government. Okay. रेलवे में डाइवेस्टमेंट हो रहा है फॉर श्योर. रेलवे में अब तेजस एक्सप्रेस जो है, विच इज अ प्राइवेट ट्रेन, राइट? प्राइवेट ट्रेन्स आर आल्सो रनिंग इन रेलवेज. डाइवेस्टमेंट हो रहा है, यू आर राइट. रेलवेज में डाइवेस्टमेंट हो रहा है, स्लोली स्टेडीली दे आर कमिंग. LIC कम्स अंडर गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर, बट इट्स सोल्ड ऑफ, मार्केट में आ गई है. LIC के शेयर्स आप खरीद सकते हो, मैं खरीद सकता हूँ शेयर्स LIC के. इट इज डाइवेस्टमेंट. सम पोर्शन इज बीइंग सोल्ड ऑफ टू द जनरल पब्लिक. प्राइवेटाइजेशन का प्रोसेस है वो, right? It is divestment. Cool. We have last one, which is globalization. Globalization is inward and outward. ठीक है? Inward and outward. Globalization में 2 चीजें होती हैं, inward and outward. Inward foreign direct investment, that is पैसा बाहर से अंदर आ रहा है. Inward, foreign people from outside India are investing in businesses in India, is called inward foreign direct investment, right? A certain percentage is allowed, and it is not uniform for all sectors, right? It ranges from 100%, 51%, 49% to 26%. It means the government says, boss, if you want to invest in a certain business, you can invest in India, but there are certain restrictions. So basically, with certain restrictions, you can invest in businesses in India. That is what it tells to foreign investors. For example, in insurance, you can only own 49% of an Indian insurance business, because government does not want the majority control to be owned by someone from outside India. आप आओ, आप इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हो, बट आप कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते हमारा धंधा. majority स्टेक तो किसी इंडियन कंपनी के ही रहना चाहिए उस बिजनेस में, या किसी इंडियन का ही रहना चाहिए. The majority stake should remain with a particular Indian company or an Indian citizen only. That is where in certain industries, they have restrictions of up to 49% or up to 26% only you can invest in as a foreign investor in a company, right? Somewhere it is 100% also, somewhere it is 51% also. It ranges. In some industries, जैसे 100% आप करो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, आप आओ, आप पूरी कंपनी अपनी चलाओ, right? That is also what they do. It ranges from sector to sector, from business to business. Okay. Some sectors where the FDI is kept out, in sectors where foreign investors cannot invest in India, which is atomic energy, lottery, gambling, nidhi companies, agriculture, etc., etc. Okay. This is because we want to protect certain industries from getting into the hands of somebody else from foreign country. These are very important industries for our country. These are very important and sensitive, confidential industries for our country, and we do not want foreign participation here. So in these certain sectors, the foreign investors cannot invest in India. Okay. Right. Even in electricity, right? These are just certain examples given at ETC Punjabi, which is etc. Okay. Great. Outward foreign direct investment is the ulta of inward. Indian people can also go out and invest in foreign countries, right? बाहर के लोग इंडिया आ रहे हैं, इंडिया के पैसे वाले लोग भी तो बाहर पैसा लगा सकते हैं, राइट? If you know, Airtel has invested around $1 billion in Mauritius, or PVR cinemas are also in Sri Lanka as well, right? Adani has hotels in New York in Europe, right? Ambani has hotels in New York and in Europe, in London, right? All these are, Airtel is also there in entire your Africa, I was telling you, right? A lot of Gujaratis from like this area, the southern part of Gujarat, export a lot of like lakdi, which is wood, to South Africa, right? They are investing in businesses in South Africa. So flow of investment from India outside India is called outward foreign direct investment. And this trend is picking up. As per reports, around $2 billion every year is invested by Indians outside India, राइट? टीसीएस, विप्रो, इन्फोसिस, ये सभी तो बाहर जाके पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. एम्स्टरडेम में ऑफिस खोल दिया, दे आर ओपनिंग ऑफिसेज इन पेरिस, दे आर ओपनिंग ऑफिसेज इन लंदन, दे आर ओपनिंग ऑफिसेज इन आयरलैंड, दे आर ओपनिंग ऑफिसेज इन सिंगापुर, दुबई, अबू धाबी. क्या है ये सब? OFDI है, आउटवर्ड फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट है. इंडियन कंपनीज, इंडियन पीपल investing money outside India is called outward foreign direct investment, right? Adani purchasing airports, will they come under government or not? If they have, if the ownership is being sold, then not. If only tenders are being sold, then yes. Okay. Foreign institutional investors. Okay. There is a concept called foreign institutional investors, which is FIIs. आप बहुत ज़्यादा सुनोगे FIIs. We studied about certain FIIs, BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, SoftBank. ये सब क्या है? These are large group of investors. Okay. These are large group of investors. These are big investing companies which help in OFDI and IFDI. जो ये इनवर्ड फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट और आउटवर्ड फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रहा है, these foreign institutional investors are the bicholias. These are the agents. These are the professionals which are actually helping in doing this, right? Large groups of investment companies with huge amounts of money. So let's say a company like a BlackRock or a SoftBank or a JP Morgan, what they do is, I'll give you another classic example, okay? Now, SoftBank went to the richest people of London and said, boss, listen, let's do the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup in Abu Dhabi. Why? Because there we will make money. A lot of people will travel to Abu Dhabi, new stadiums will be built, right? Now think how smart these people are. Okay, I'm just giving you an example here. These huge FIIs, BlackRock, SoftBank, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, huge companies, okay? What they do is they go to the richest of London, the richest of US, the richest of India, the richest of Africa, the richest of Japan, the richest of all the Europe, right? Germany के सबसे अमीर लोगों के पास जाते हैं, बड़ी कंपनीज के पास जाते हैं. They say, boss, listen, we have an opportunity in the globe, which is Abu Dhabi. Let us propose to do FIFA World Cup in Abu Dhabi. What will happen is they have to create a lot of stadiums, a lot of tourism will happen. Puri dunya se we will have like 3-4 crore people traveling to Abu Dhabi. They will spend money on food, entertainment, building sports events, betting, right? जबरदस्त पैसा create होने वाला है for the next 1 month. And ये अबू धाबी बनाएगा कैसे ये सब? दे विल बाय प्रोडक्ट्स फ्रॉम योर कंपनीज, राइट? स्टील खरीदेगा, गाड़ियां खरीदेगा, खाने के लिए सामान, अल्कोहल खरीदेगा, बियर खरीदेगा, खाना खरीदेगा. कौन बेचेगा? यूएस की कंपनीज बेचेंगी, यूरोप की कंपनीज बेचेंगी. You will just sell your own product to Abu Dhabi by just giving them कि अरे आपके पास फीफा वर्ल्ड कप कराते हैं, वेरी गुड. Abu Dhabi will be happy कि मेरा tourism बढ़ेगा. You will make money, right, at cheaper prices. Abu Dhabi is गरीब, right, उसके पास tourism ही नहीं है. You are offering tourism, उनका सिर्फ तेल है, tourism नहीं है. Now you offer them tourism and we make money through all this jhamela, all this 1-2 months of mela. Let us create money out of this, right? These banks go to these companies, create an opportunity, create a portfolio, and then invest money there, right? This is called foreign institutional investors. Now, foreign institutional investors collect money from these people and invest in certain countries, right? Abhi Abu Dhabi, I gave an example, ab India mein kar rahe hain, right? You look at the latest Adani case, the Hindenburg, the case that is happening, FIIs, right? These people are coming, they are selling Adani shares, they're buying Adani shares in huge capacity because they have so much money. They can manipulate markets. They can manipulate the country economics. Itni badi companies hai ye, right? They can in a single day invest $5 billion. They can in a single day sell $7-8 billion of shares in a single day. Market crash kara dete hain ye log, right? These are foreign institutional investors. They collect money from the rich people around the globe and they target a particular country and they go invest in that. They make money, pull that money out. They take that money, invest in some other country, make money there, pull that money out. ऐसे पूरी world में घूमते घूमते पैसा कमाते रहते हैं, right? This is what foreign institution investors do. And a lot of chartered accountants would want to work in these companies, and a lot of my friends work. Fantastic jobs if you want to do here, like BlackRock, SoftBank, JP Morgan, McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, right? These are some foreign institutional investors, and this is what they do and how they help in foreign direct investment. That is how they help in globalization. These FIIs actually help in entire process of globalization. Cool. Okay. With that, your entire syllabus of chapter 4 is also complete. Chapter 4 bhi dost complete ho gaya. We studied about policies, we studied about policy formulation, we talked about how policy formulation works, historic timeline of policy framework in India, we talked about India economy after independence from a poor country to a 1992 reform of LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization, liberalization, ease of doing business, privatization, like creating private opportunities for businesses through 4 ways: delegation, disinvestment, divestment, and there was एक और मैं खुद ही भूल गया, displacement, right? Then we talked about globalization, inward and outward foreign direct investment, supported by FIIs, which is foreign institutional investors, right? That is chapter 4 for you, which is policies by government for supporting businesses. Cool. Let's spend another 3-4 minutes. We are on time. Ekdam 1 baja hai, right? Let's spend 3-4 minutes on any questions, anything that you have, and then we will end the session for today. I'm open to questions, right? Ask your questions. Darshan, what is your query, dost? Darshan, मेरे को ढूंढना पड़ेगा, रुको. Let me do a conversion. किधर है सवाल, दोस्त? Darshan, you have given 31 comments, yeah? Nice, yeah? You have 31 searches I have for you. Chit fund क्या होता है? Darshan, chit fund is more like you collect money from people and then give them interest. Okay, that's called chit fund. वो spelling गलत है. It is chit fund, not cheat found. Okay, it's chit fund. What else? Perfect. I'm happy. Manmeet, Smriti, Rishu, you understood. I'm happy. It's interesting for you, the session, right? Exam mein just be confident. It's super common sense. It's super basic. It's just about reading the study material once again. Do not skip study material. Please पढ़ के जाना. Questions उसमें से आएंगे एक line से. Use my presentations as revision notes. Okay, but do not skip the study material. Arpit Uncle, all questions about me. मैंने कब खत्म किया, कैसे किया, लास्ट सेशन में करेंगे, ठीक है? I want to keep all the questions related to me for last session. कि when I completed, how I studied, कहाँ से पढ़ा, all of this last session, because तब तक excitement रहनी चाहिए, वरना तो आओगे ही नहीं आप last session तक, मुझे पता है. So keep all the questions related to me for the last session. Great. No doubts, all clear. Good, good, good. Thank you, Darshan. Thanks, Dimple. Thanks for appreciating. I'm happy that you guys are super active. For all those who are super active and having a conversation, I can assure you this is going to benefit you only. Because मेरा तो एग्जाम हो चुका है भाई, मैं तो पास हो चुका हूँ. So ask, it's good that you guys ask your questions and talk to me as much as you can. I see no questions on today, but let's just wait for another 2 minutes if somebody is thinking of a question or writing it out, okay? Nishit, we will complete a syllabus well on time, okay? Even if you're not doing an extra class, the last class we skipped, but we will spend another hour in whenever I feel in a session, हम 1 घंटा उसको extend करेंगे, ठीक है ना? वो जो 2 घंटे हमने मिस किए हैं, हम कहीं ना कहीं वो एडजस्ट करेंगे, so don't worry about that. और जिस दिन 1 घंटा बढ़ाएंगे उस दिन ब्रेक लेंगे, 3 घंटे एक साथ नहीं बढ़ाऊंगा, ठीक है? बट वी विल कंप्लीट अ सिलेबस वेल विद इन टाइम, आई कैन अश्योर यू. कोई एक्सटेंड नहीं होगा, जो शेड्यूल है उसके अंदर अंदर ही वी विल डू सिलेबस. वी आर राइट नाउ ऑल्सो ऑन शेड्यूल, ओके. चैप्टर 4 इज ऑल्सो डन टूडे. सिर्फ 2 चैप्टर्स बचे हैं दोस्त. नेक्स्ट 2 वीक्स के अंदर अंदर दैट विल ऑल्सो बी डन. Perfect. Great, great, great. Everything. Thank you everyone for joining. So with no questions, that's good that everything is clear. I'll see you next week, Saturday, same time, same place. We'll start with chapter 5. बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है, थोड़ा सा लंबा है, 2 सेशंस लगेंगे उसको, बट उसको भी स्टोरी की तरह पढ़ेंगे, राइट? बड़ा ही मजेदार है. I'll give you examples from some web series. वो सारी वेब सीरीज बेस्ड चैप्टर है, मैं आपको बताऊंगा. बड़ा ही मजेदार चैप्टर है, राइट? With that, we are ending. Shweta, please, मेरे को भी भूख लग गई है. Go have your lunch. Order something. You want to eat Rajma Chawal, go eat Rajma Chawal, right? With that, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks for being active. I'll see you next time, same place, and we'll do chapter 5. Thank you.